mid-budget, non-IP, non-superhero film that's getting butts to the seats. I need to see what this Lost City is talking about. So I'll give you my thoughts and reviews on the latest film from Sandra Bullock right after the jump. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. It has been a while since I've done a theatrical film review. The Batman came out, but I just did that part for the podcast. I try not to repeat myself or do a podcast and a review the same both. It's just time. So it's been a while since I've done a theatrical release review, and I did not think my first one for a while would be The Lost City, but here we are. These type of films don't get made anymore. It's that $50 to $75 million movie that does not have an IP, that is not like a brand, any of this beautiful stuff behind me. It is just going off of its own merits and of what they would call, it's been a long time since we said this, an original IP. But that is what The Lost City is. But it's going off of strictly star power, which has not happened in quite some time. But people are going. People are driving to this film. It's doing well at the box office. Sandra Bullock is still one of America's sweethearts, and she's put forth a film that I think right now in this time people need. People need to laugh, and boy, does this movie give you that in droves. This film is much better than it has any right to be. On paper, for me, this is not my type of genre, but it is an action adventure, romance, comedy throwback to some of those Romancing the Stone type of films from yesteryear. In this film, Sandra Bullock plays Loretta Sage, who is this down on her luck, depressed, middle-aged writer who has had a loss, and in that loss has sort of put herself into hiding, into reclusion. She sort of locked herself away. She's got writer's block. She doesn't really want to do this anymore. She's always had aspirations to do more and be a better writer, to do other type of writing, but this is what sort of the world that has been given to her to make money. And so she's just kind of like living in her misery. As her muse, she's been using the cover model, this Fabio-esque looking guy named Dash, is the fictional hero. The actor that plays him is Alan. The actor that plays Alan is Channing Tatum. And just this dim-witted, lovable character that starts off a book tour that she's trying to have for this one last hurrah of this book. And then things just go from there, down, down, down. She gets captured and taken by this megalomaniac billionaire played by Daniel Radcliffe. Fantastic casting. And just comedy and hijinks ensues. It gets spirals in and out, goes further and further. It goes from wildly comedic to horrifically violent, but still within the comedic tones of it. It all works and works well. Sandra Bullock is the perfect sort of straight man in this, but a lot of the weight and what makes this all sort of tick and work is Channing Tatum. He is doing some like broad, just fun, stupid, dim-witted comedy. I always love that Channing is that guy, 21 Jump Street, and even the little part that he has in The World Ends, or how is it, The World Ends, I forgot what it's called. He's willing to make fun of himself, and even with Free Guy, he is willing to, his comedic chops are phenomenal. For a guy who looks like him, he doesn't have to be as talented and as funny as he actually is, and it just comes off in droves here. I have a good time with my namesake cousin, if you will. He makes this alone worth the price of admission. They've already put in trailers that Brad Pitt's in it, so I'll sort of mention his character. He's a CIA agent who is overly good at his job, but also looks like Brad Pitt and super sexy. And there's this foil of him saving Loretta while Alan is pining for Loretta and is kind of trying to be like him, but not nearly as serviceable or as the talent for it. And so comedy ensues, and it's shocking how things happen in this film that you're like, oh, I did not see that happening. It keeps you on your toes for the entire time, which I think is both admirable and rare for a film like this that is borrowing a lot from old films, but still manages to keep it fresh and new for today's age. Daniel Radcliffe is great as the villain. He is playing as a smarmy, kind of a rich kid, but there are so many. This is a well-written script because there are so many like innuendos and jokes on the title Lost City of D, and it gets fun to the point where I was like, I had to check. It's like, is this rated R? Because there's some violence, there's blood. That like, what rating is this? PG-13. Oh, they push that thing to the limit, and it all works. The only thing that does not work for me, there's a side story with Loretta's book agent and her trying to get to Beth is her name, trying to get to Loretta to sort of save her. All of those scenes just they fall flat for me. I don't find there's a whole monologue that she has for a minute trying to get these police folks to come help. It all falls flat for me, and I'm sure it may play for some folks. For me, it just didn't read, and I was like, I want to get back to the characters that I care about. This side story, I know you have to get to a point where they get rescued, and you want to send a team to show that there's somebody outside of what's happening here that cares about her. But it just doesn't work for me. It's a lot of stuff that feels forced, where everything else in this film feels very natural and just kind of like, oh, this is what it is. I think all in all, though, this is a very fun film, way more than I had anticipated. I went in like, I don't really want to see this. I'm not that big of a fan of Sandra Bullock when she does these type of romantic comedy flicks, but this is fun, a lot of fun. I think anybody of all ages, of both genders, will enjoy this quite a bit, and it's just refreshing to have something that is not a known entity when you go to the theaters. It shows you that there is still a light at the end of the tunnel if you create stuff that is inventive or interesting enough for people to come see. They're not going to waste money on everything, like Death of the Nile has failed, Marry Me, which are all sort of in that same type of genre-ish. Women-led, women-driving films, they all sort of fail. This one is doing the opposite. So, on my scale of Play It Again, Sam, hey, I didn't mind that. Once is enough, or give me a time zone so I never have to think about that film again. This is a Play It Again, Sam. I would recommend this to anybody. There isn't not a genre or a person that I'm like, oh, you shouldn't see that, or that's not for you. This is a damn good time, and I think you will laugh your butt off frequently at this movie, and that's kind of what everybody needs right now. Have you seen The Lost City? What did you guys think about it? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any other place podcast. We are there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.